Hello, good evening, and welcome to a new episode of Arguably the Reading Quest. I am Nishant. So, it's been 3 years since this channel of mine has started, and it is a surprise that I haven't done a full-length video on the series of books that you're supposed to read in order to understand Buddhism and the life of the great master, the Buddha. So here we go, and before that, I wish you all a very happy Buddha Purnima. So on the eve of Buddha Purnima, I thought of recording this video and to give you 6 essential books that are indispensable for you to understand Buddhism. And that will be a stepping stone for further, higher and complex books. But these simple, lucid books will definitely, will be a launching pad for you to understand uh, the various facets and concepts of Buddhism, the philosophy of Buddhism as is lived and practiced, sourced directly from, the authentic sources. So the very first book that comes to my mind is by Rahula Walpole, What Buddha Taught. This is a quintessential book if you are, a beginner who wants to understand Buddhism in its totality. Very lucid presentation of Buddhism, because Buddhism is such a subject which has been much glorified and which has been much abused as well. Because every other YouTuber is, talking about Buddhism and, it has been in vogue these days. But to read something authentic, you need to go through this book, Walpole Sri Rahula, What Buddha Taught. So, and, this is by far the best introduction to Buddhism available, as is commented by a professor of Sanskrit from University of Oxford, Professor R.F. Gombrich. And this is long regarded as one of the finest introductions to Buddhism available, right? And, the book is divided into 5 parts: that the Buddhist attitude of mind, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, meditation and mental development, and what the Buddha taught and the world today, right? And it presents a glossary of Buddhist term and, an updated bibliography. So this is one book that is highly recommended. Another book that is highly recommended is, and sorry, I cannot show it to you because somehow it has been misplaced, and equally iconic. The book name is Old Path, White Clouds. I hope most of you must have read it. Old Path, White Clouds by Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Vietnamese Zen master and Buddhist monk, and a peace activist and a poet, and was highly influential in promoting Buddhism and spirituality across the world. So Thich Nhat Hanh presents the life and teaching of Buddha, drawn directly from 24 Pali, Sanskrit, and Chinese sources, and retold by him in his inimitably beautiful style. So, this book, as is displayed on my computer screen, traces Buddha's life slowly and gently over the course of 80 years, and partly also through the eyes of Buddha himself. So, Old Path, White Clouds, and it is also available in Hindi. In Hindi, the title reads, Jahan Jahan Charan Pade Gautam Ke. In Hindi, it reads, Jahan Jahan Charan Pade Gautam Ke. So, a biography of the light of Asia, that is Gautam Buddha. Now, another book, which I'm sure all of us have, grown up with in one way or the other, whose influence can hardly be overestimated, is the Jatak the Jatak Tales. Now, we may ask what Jatak Tales, yeah, because it is so popular that we overlook the fact sometimes that Jatak Tale, recounts the story of the development of Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva was a being destined to become Buddha in his final life. And it tells us the past life of Gautam Buddha. So, and it is associated with the living tradition of folk tales and the series of, stories in the Jatak Katha, in the Jatak Tales, has been written in long tradition from, say, 5th century BC to 3rd century BC. 3rd century AD तक कहानियां added हुई उसमें, 3rd century AD, right? And there are 26 stories, and you can buy it at Penguin Classics. Make sure that when you buy Jatak Tales, it has to be bought at authentic publication, either at Oxford University Press or at Penguin. I have it with me from Penguin Classics. So a lot of footnotes and annotations and commentary on translations and bibliography is given. So it's a series of 26 stories, and you will be delighted by reading it. I hope all of you must have read it in your childhood days, but let's read it from the Penguin Classic in original, with a lot of footnotes and annotations and commentaries. So this is the 3rd book that is quintessential in the series to understand Buddhism. And then the 4th book is the Dhampad, the verses. There are many editions in which Dhampad is available. So try buying a really authentic and a good one. I have, Dhampad with me at the Modern Library Classics. You see, this is a beautiful, paperback. Modern Library Classic. You can buy it at, Oxford University Press, or you can buy it at Penguin Classics itself. But I somehow preferred this for a new translation, and, the praise is about translation was, worth noticeable. So I bought it at, the Modern Library Classics. And somehow also I was consciously or unconsciously drawn, by the beautiful, beautiful cover. Or as they say, do not judge a book by its cover. But somehow I was drawn beautifully by the cover page of this book. So, and this is a central text to understand Buddhism. And it talks of the nature of self, the value of relationship, the importance of moment-to-moment awareness, the destructiveness of anger, etc., etc., the suffering that attends attachment. And there are 423 verses here. They're giving a fresh significance to Glenn Vallis's brilliant translation. Right? And I hope, be it a scholar or be it a seeker or be it a novice, all of them will find this book equally, enchanting. So this is a book that is must have book in your library, the Dhampad. So if you have gone through these 4 books that I have mentioned, then the 5th book that I want to mention is The Great Disciples of Buddha. So of course, in order to understand Buddhism, you must also understand the life and teachings of the great disciples of Buddha who spent a lifetime with Buddha, including disciples such as Anand and Angulimal and Sariputta. So the Great Disciples of Buddha is edited by Bhikkhu Bodhi. Bhikkhu Bodhi. So he's an amazing editor. So if you can buy, let me suggest you, the edited text by Bhikkhu Bodhi, and he has edited a series of writings, and this is published at Wisdom Press, and the paper quality is just so good that you will feel delighted reading this book. Not third-rated paper quality like that of Penguin. So this is, the Great Disciples of Buddha. And, this is a truly enriching book to further hone your understanding of Buddhism. So here, as I told you, the disciples such as, Sariput, Molinga, Anand, Aniruddha, the great women disciples such as Nanda and Queen Samavati or Ishidashi or Mallika or Vishakha or, the Daku Angulimal, the Dacoit Angulimal is mentioned. So their lives, their teaching and their legacy is mentioned. This is such a beautiful book I stumbled upon. I am delighted that I have stumbled upon it. I bought it from Harmony Bookshop, Varanasi. And then the last and the final book in this series, in order to understand, if you have read this and if you're really interested in Buddhism, then why not read, some of the texts directly selected from Buddhist canon? That is a Buddhist Reader. A Buddhist Reader, this is published at Dover publication, but there are many other publications also which have published this. So I have bought it at Dover publication, a Buddhist Reader, selection from the sacred text. And this is translated and edited by Henry Clark Warren. So if you didn't get it at Dover publication. You can search, at other publication, but it has to be translated by Henry Clark Warren, because he was a pioneering Buddhist scholar, and the translation is highly revered. So the final book in this series is a Buddhist Reader, selection from the sacred text, sacred books. So these are the 6 books, guys, that I uh, assume all of us must have in our library, more so when it is Buddha, the light of Asia, because as Karl Jaspers, one of the famous German psychiatrist and philosopher, tells us in one of his theories of actual is that Buddha was a paradigmatic figure. He uses an adjective paradigmatic, and he applies the adjective paradigmatic only to 4 people. 2 of were from Asia and 2 from Europe. Of course, one from Asia, there are 3 from Asia, technically speaking. One was, of course, Socrates, the second was Jesus, the third is Gautam Buddha, and the fourth is Confucius. So these 4 paradigmatic figure, and Buddha is popularly known as the light of Asia, as well as one of the the European coins the term. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you will enjoy reading the text that I have suggested. If you have still not liked, shared, and subscribed my YouTube channel, Arguably the Reading Quest, please do that. You can also find me at Instagram. Happy reading, guys.